Welcome to the Same Day Podcast, where we discuss driving incremental business growth and other topics related to real estate, property management, and entrepreneurship. Now to the show at hand.
Matt Zalk here. I'm the host of the Same Day Podcast, where I connect with top business leaders and real estate experts. Today's show is brought to you by Keyrenter Property Management. At Keyrenter Property Management, we are a full-service property management company helping our clients buy, renovate, and operate real estate assets. We help our clients build wealth while taking the headache out of property management. No matter what rental you have, single-family homes, condos, townhomes, apartments, we have the management solutions you need. Go to KeyrenterTulsa.com, KeyrenterOklahomaCity.com, KeyrenterArkansas.com, or just go to KeyrenterPMC.com and you'll get all those websites. Or email us at info@KeyrenterPMC.com. Today, I've got Chad Franzen here of Rise 25, who's done hundreds, maybe thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs, investors, and CEOs. And we've flipped the script, and he's going to be interviewing me. Welcome, Chad.
Hey, Matt. Thanks so much. Great to be here. Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit on this episode about home warranty systems. Why would a client or a tenant think that a home warranty system is a good idea?
Good question. Oftentimes, our clients think that by spending $500 or $600 or $700 up front, they can avoid the potential pain associated with some of the deferred maintenance issues that they may have caused themselves. I hate to admit it. They think that by spending the money up front for home warranty system or home warranty on the house, they will be shielded from significant costs associated with maintenance of that property.
Would you say that that belief is matches reality?
It can, but most often it doesn't. And the impact that it has on the tenant can lead to not deferred maintenance, as I just mentioned, but deferred pain. So there are a bunch of problems with home warranty companies, and we can get into them. But oftentimes, if you have a home warranty company that takes a while to service a property, you have a tenant that's so upset that at the end of the year, they'll leave. And instead of staying for 2 or 3 years, if you're just a good landlord and you take care of these issues, you now have a tenant that leaves. And if rent is $2,000 a month and it takes you a month to get somebody else in, you've lost $2,000. So you can be stepping over dollars to pick up pennies, so to speak.
So what would you recommend they do instead of, agreeing to a warranty like that?
Well, I think the recommendations that we would have to come from the issues that we see with home warranties. So let me talk for a second about the issues that we see with home warranties. The first issue is that home warranty companies are businesses. And we all know the issues with insurance companies in America in general, right? We can talk about health insurance companies and the number of people or the frequency of bankruptcy in America resulting from either having no insurance or having insurance that denies pre-existing conditions or denies health issues that come up. So the issue fundamentally is that home warranty companies are businesses. And if they want to earn a profit for their owners or shareholders, they need to take in more money than they pay out. The way they take in more money than they pay out is generally by using fine print in the contract that limits coverage or creates exclusions for specific things. So you might think that your HVAC system is covered and it's not. They just say, hey, the age of the system doesn't warrant our paying the entirety of a replacement. And all of a sudden you thought that your $500 investment that would cover a $5,000 system is no longer there. Or they say, hey, you don't have a good record of servicing the unit, and therefore it falls outside of the scope of coverage because there's an exclusion if you haven't serviced the unit. Or they say, we just, this is just not something that's covered. Read the fine print. We just don't cover this sort of service. So that's number one. There are all sorts of exclusions from coverage that they don't tell you on the front end, and then you end up having paid for something that you don't get to use. The second thing is you've paid now $500, $700 for a home warranty company to issue this home warranty for your property, and they still charge you $75, $100 for the service call that is related to, whatever the maintenance issue is. Now, oftentimes we send out, and I had one on my property the other day, 39 North Xanthus, where we sent out an HVAC technician. It cost me $85, and they checked a couple of things. They found the pressures, to be adequate. They closed the furnace cover. They changed the filter. They did whatever they did. It was $85. And the system that was not functioning when they arrived is not functioning. So it's basically the same. If I had a home warranty company, I would have paid $85 and they would have solved it. And if I didn't have a home warranty company guaranteeing the property, I paid $85 and it was solved. So in the $700 that you pay, or call it $500 that you pay, you've got 4, 5, 6 $75 fees that you can afford because you've just saved yourself $500 a year. So you can just, avoid the pain of dealing with that $75 surcharge by not having it and paying the $75 surcharge that you naturally pay. The final issue that I think is really a problem with the home warranty company is that service quality and service quality is bad and service delays are real. So what happens is, imagine a scenario where a tenant, calls in, they have no HVAC in summer. They have no cooling in summer. It takes the HVAC company a day or two to get out there in the first place. Then they have to run the service. When they diagnose the issue, they've got to run it through the home warranty company. It takes them another day to get an answer from the company to determine whether it's covered or not covered. Then and only then do they figure out whether they can get the parts and the supplies from the supply house. If that's a weekend, the supply house may be closed. They may have particular supply houses where they need to go buy stuff instead of having flexibility in terms of where they buy stuff. Something that could be open and have the part is not accessible to them. Then it takes them another day or two to get back into the schedule. And all that assumes that the coverage is actually there. So it might take them 5 days or 6 days to fix a problem when, we're in August, but we just had a bunch of days in a row of 106-degree temperatures. That can be really, really painful for somebody, particularly if your house is not well insulated, as many of the rental properties are not, right? You bought it as a rental house. You didn't do a full envelope sealing with spray foam. So the temperature can rise very quickly. And you've now got somebody that's 6 days without HVAC. That's very, very painful. What happens? The tenant goes, I don't like this company that's doing maintenance on my property. That is my landlord. And I'm moving to somebody that will do better maintenance. So that's what happens in terms of delays on properties when you have a home warranty company, assuming that you actually have good communication, that a tenant doesn't miss a phone call, that the home warranty company calls back the technician, that they submit all the documents that they need to submit, and also assuming that parts are relatively available for that situation. In the event that the coverage is excluded, you have to now go back to the tenant and say, I can't do this for you. The warranty system doesn't cover it, and I have to go back to the owner and discuss options from there. So now I have to send out another technician, and that could be 4 days after they had the initial service call or had the initial maintenance request submitted. I have to send back another technician who could face some of the same issues. It could now be a Saturday at 2:00, and all the supply houses close at 12:30 on Saturday. What do you do? Can't do anything until Monday. So the bottom line is it's fraught with all sorts of issues that cause your tenants significant headache, and there's hidden costs associated with not providing high quality and speedy service for a number of, in particular, heating and air, plumbing, if there's only one toilet, a number of issues that could be, that we could get maintenance requests for. So the bottom line is there are a bunch of solutions that you have a bunch of alternative solutions to a home warranty company that, we can run through. One is just having really good relationships with key vendors that offer fair pricing for the services that they provide. Instead of paying $700 up front, you're going to pay, $75 for the person to go out there, and then you're going to pay a reasonable amount for recharging the system with Freon, or you're going to pay a reasonable amount for the service that's required for a new capacitor, for a new coil that has to be installed, whatever. The math of the premiums, as I already discussed, can be misleading when you look at the overall cost of operating if you have a home warranty company versus not. So again, for $700 a year, for $75, you can do 10 $70 service calls before you break even on that $700 a month, $700 a year home warranty company. So just understand the math, where the inflection point is and what you might get out of that home warranty company. You can also self-insure. So what does that mean? You just set aside money for repairs. Instead of paying $700 a year for a home warranty company, you set aside $700 plus, $150, 2 service calls from that home warranty company each year. You set aside, call it $1,000 for maintenance issues each year. And, you may not use it for a year, and you may use 2 in another year, right? You may use $2,000 in another year, but then you're self-insured and you've got those issues covered, and you remove a bunch of the headaches that you face as the owner from being denied coverage when you thought you had something. That's frustrating and that's annoying. And then you remove the headache associated with the tenants having to be delayed so much in getting their issue fixed. And then the final piece is you just do proactive maintenance. So instead of waiting for something to break, you don't let issues defer. You rather have an inspection of your property done once a year or twice a year. You have the HVAC technician go out in spring and fall and service the units, the furnace and the condensing unit, so that you make sure that they are up to snuff and can get you through that summer.
How realistic or common, given the market, is it for a landlord to kind of bake the cost of proactive maintenance or self-insurance into the rent? Like I could probably, I'd need, this much for the rent, but I'm going to charge this month because I want to save money for potential repairs.
Well, that's a good question. An owner cannot dictate a rent price based on what they want to earn. So we often hear people say, my mortgage is $1,800. I need to get, $1,900 to cover your management fee and pay my mortgage. Well, the truth is the rents in the area are $1,550. If they see your house on the market for $1,900 and everything else that's comparable in the neighborhood is going for $1,550, they're not going to rent your house for $1,900. There are some times when we push rents and we're more responsive as landlords, as showing the property. We do a little bit of a better job. We get $1,650 or $1,700 when everything else is at $1,550. Or we make an argument that this has granite and yours doesn't, so it's not comparable, so we charge more. But for the most part, that a landlord cannot dictate the rent that they're going to get based on their need. The tenant does not care that their mortgage payment is $1,800 because they put it on a 15-year amortization instead of a 30. They could have easily put it on a 30. They wouldn't have paid down their principal as fast, but their mortgage payment would be $1,400. So a tenant doesn't care. The market sets the rent. It's not set by what the landlord's needs are. So I think that you've got to have an understanding of your own cash flow position and what you earn from your normal job or what you earn from the entirety of your rentals, such that you can escrow the right amount of money. But I will say, we have tons of owners that they're great landlords. They don't need the money that they're making from their properties. They escrow that money. They use it at the end of a year for a vacation. But if they have a little bit less money from that rental, then they don't take that vacation, or they take a more moderate vacation. And if they had a windfall year, then they take a more, exaggerated vacation. We also have, conversely, a ton of owners that move out of their house because they cannot sell it. They cannot get the money that they want, or they bought it 7 months ago and it wouldn't make sense to pay another realtor commission to sell it. They'd be in the red. And so they decide to rent it. Those people are often very tight on their budgets, and they don't have, imagine a scenario. We see this frequently. I've got to move out of this house because I lost my job, and I have to move into something that's smaller for my family that costs less money. And, I need to rent this for $1,800, and I'm going to move into a house that costs $1,400, and I'm going to rent that house. Well, that person who lost their job doesn't have a lot of money in case things go wrong. And that can be very painful. And we see it frequently in a number of our markets. I was just having a conversation yesterday with one of our senior managers who said, we have situations where owners say, I don't want to fix that HVAC unit until we get a tenant. Well, I can't show that house in summer without HVAC. A tenant won't move in. And then if we do spend $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 to repair an AC unit that they don't have, we're left holding the bill. So it's a really complicated situation. And the answer is, if you don't have money to rent the property, you don't have money to rent the property. And that can be painful for us and painful for you, but that's the reality. You've got to have some money set aside from your primary job or from your savings to be able to handle issues that come up over time.
Last question for you, back to home warranties. When is using a home warranty a good idea?
So, if a home warranty does cover larger systems, then you're in the money. So if you pay $500 and for some reason your HVAC system, it breaks and is not excluded from coverage, you're in the money, but it's a gamble. So if you feel like you value that safety and you understand that it could get denied, be approved, and you may never have a positive ROI from your home warranty company, then it might be a good idea for you. The likelihood that your entire HVAC system that's 12 or 15 years old gets covered for your $700 a year cost is low, right? The home warranty company would not be in business very long if they accepted $700 and paid out $7,000 very frequently, but it's a possibility. So if you want to use that only in emergency situations where you've got larger systems that are likely to fail or could potentially fail, and you use it for a year or two, I think it may be a decent idea. I often think though I think that often home warranty companies deny claims for rented properties because they're meant to be used for primary residence. So you see home warranties offered as concessions from sellers to buyers in residential real estate when something in the inspection report is flagged that could be potentially wrong. They say, I'll pay the home warranty system. I'll pay the home warranty for a year. And if anything goes wrong in that year, the warranty will cover it. Okay. They're less likely to deny things when you are a primary residential user rather than an investor that has a rental property. So, I don't think it's a great idea when you have an investment property, but it could potentially be a good idea for people that have primary residences because they're less likely to be denied.
Okay. Hey, valuable insights as always. Thanks so much, Matt. Really appreciate it.
Chet, thank you.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Same Day Podcast. Tune in to a new show each week and be sure to subscribe to get future episodes.